Ladies and gentlemen, today is the day before we launch into the 2024-2025 Premier League season. It's tomorrow night happening at 6:30 p.m. UK deadline. Canada time? No idea. Time's difference.
It's the match starts at 1 p.m.
So it'll probably be
our
like an
side.
early morning deadline for Canada. So be ready. But
11:30.
we are here with our first episode of the season, Gameweek 1, Episode 1. Welcome back. If you've seen our preseason content, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching and viewing it. There's been some good stuff that's come out of our brains and our mouths. So hopefully you can use some of that to your benefit. But today, we've got quite a stacked podcast lined up for you today. We're going to be talking about budget picks in the midfield. We're going to be talking about the best goalkeepers to have. We're going to be talking about even our own team selections. We're going to be talking about a new thing that we've decided to do where we've decided to build a team. We're going to do that towards the end of the podcast, just thinking that, Mike needs someone on his side to help beat me. So what better person to have on his side than to have Nate on his side. But we're going to have a lot of video or a lot of things to talk about in today's episode. And we're also going to be talking about what formation you should be using. There's going to be multiple formations that we're going to discuss, but probably two in particular that we like. But let's kick off today with talking about what midfield budget players you should be looking at, because you're trying to afford those Salahs, those Haalands, maybe those Sakas, maybe those Sons, maybe those Trents. So we need to find some budget somewhere, Mike. So what are we thinking? What are we thinking?
Yeah, we've spoken a lot about it, and both Nate and I are on the Haaland and Salah train so far. That can change. Nate changed the team night before to trick me. But if you're going to do that, you're going to have to find the right budget midfielders to make this work. Midfield's got the most value. The problem is that we found him. We found our star. We found our savior. We found the man who's going to take us to FPL glory at only 5 million, starting at right wing for Manchester City against a weak Chelsea. He was going to be in the points. Every season told us. The Oracle told us. And you know what happened? And I really feel bad for him. He fractured his leg. And so Oscar Bob, 5 million midfielder, most likely to start City's first game, is out for at least the beginning of the season.
Several months, yeah.
It's
so
very,
sad.
I feel very bad. I feel so bad for the player, and I feel bad for myself.
The form that he was on was incredible. Like, he was going to have one of the best seasons of his career, hands down. The way he was scoring goals and assisting Man City's team, like, it's very unfortunate. And the even more unfortunate thing is, to be a little bit selfish, but not too selfish, is that there's basically no one in that price category to fill your team. You're basically going to have to rebuild your planned team. I had my team locked and loaded. We were sitting before the podcast, just sitting and thinking, how the heck are we going to fix our team? This was such a good pick.
Nate had the one of the best looking teams. Like, I was like very jealous. I was like, how the heck am I going to get in Trent? But now things are not looking good. There's no straight up 5 million replacement. Your best option right now is actually our next budget player, which is Diallo from United. He'd be your best 5 million. He had really good form in midfield. United haven't had that many signings. So it looks like he's quite settled there. The manager's comfortable with him. He was rested over the summer mostly. He's a cheap, like, I know we're going to try and maybe squeeze in a Fernandes in our group team, but I can't squeeze him in my main team.
Yeah.
So
if you're wanting a way into that United attack, he's a good shout.
But there's a problem. Is Garnacho starting ahead of him? Because if you have 3 wingers in Rashford, Garnacho, and Diallo, and only 2 can start, which 2 are starting? Yeah. And right now, my Man United friends are telling me that Garnacho starts and Diallo comes in as a sub. So keep an eye on that. If you were going to swap Bob straight out, go for Diallo, but with the caveat that he may be rested.
Second on our list is a Fulham man that came from a premium team that's gaining a lot of traction, but it's Smith Rowe. And he's a good player. He is a good player. And for 5.5, you need a little bit of adjusting, but he's a great value player. The differential is really good because there's a lot of players in that price category as well. So he comes in as a strong differential pick, because we'll talk about the other ones later. But he's a big money signing for Fulham, so he's definitely starting. I'm pretty sure he has something to prove as well, having just left from Arsenal, coming to Fulham. He really wants to prove himself, so he's got to hit the ground running. He's got to start strong. The writing's there on the wall for him to have a great start to the season. The only problem is, other than Fulham's amazing fixtures, which we spoke about earlier in our preseason videos about their the 5 games that they have, he's got competition with Muniz.
Yeah, it's more the fact of, if you're gonna have one of them on the team, do you take Muniz or do you take Smith Rowe? Because it's difficult to fit them both in. They both come in at that 0.5 or 1 million up on your enablers on the bench. So, like, are you going to have Muniz up front, or are you going to go with an enabler up front for your bench and take Smith Rowe? I'm leaning to Smith Rowe. I think Smith Rowe is a 6.5 minimum FPL asset if he had started
At Arsenal.
at Fulham. At Arsenal, he was a bench player that would not get minutes. That's why he's 5.5.
Yeah,
If he was a starting player at Arsenal, he'd probably be like 7,
I
same
see.
as Martinez.
Mm.
So Martinelli. So yeah, I agree. Smith Rowe is great, but there's another option that's 5.5 that people have been hyping from the first of preseason, but it has died down in hype, and that is Rogers from Aston Villa, Captain Rogers. Captain Aston Villa. He's not the captain of Aston Villa.
Will he become Captain Rogers? We'll have to see later in the season.
Big hype, but tough fixtures.
Yeah. Aston Villa don't have the easiest start to the season. And
lots of rotation with Champions League coming up as well.
I was just about to say, considering they have the Champions League football this season, we don't know what's really going to happen with them. It's also part of the reason why no one's talking about Ollie Watkins. It's just, you don't really know yet. So we kind of have to evaluate that player as he goes.
Yeah. I would say Smith Rowe has jumped to the top of this list as the best budget pick for the midfield.
Especially considering Bob and the news with him. Yeah.
Bob's out. Diallo might not start. So and Rogers has got bad fixtures. But that brings us to the next thing. The last two on our list are the top performing assets from the preseason. Do you want to tell us about our friend from Newcastle, Nate?
So, Mr. Murphy, at a 5.5, has probably had one of the most astounding preseasons, other than Bob. The man has something like 4 or 5 goals and 2 or 3 assists. Like, honestly, he's just been playing really well. The only problem is he hasn't been starting a lot. And the position he's playing in is the same position as Almiron. So does Almiron play ahead of him? He's got the similar situation with Diallo. Does he start? Does he start? Does Eddie Howe trust him? The positive thing about him is that he's a cheaper into the attacking of Newcastle than Gordon, because Gordon has increased a lot in price compared to what he was last season. So he's no more that budget enabler. He's more of a premium at that price. So Murphy would be that player that could come in and replace Gordon if you're looking into that attacking lineup. So we just got to evaluate to see if Eddie Howe prefers him.
Yeah, I think he does. I think Murphy starts ahead of Almiron. You kind of have Almiron, Barnes, Gordon, and Murphy. Those 4, and you got to choose 2 wingers out of them. And Murphy also ended last season with more minutes than Almiron. So the run at the end of the season, the back end of the last season, had Murphy starting.
And you're right. He started the preseason strong. There's no reason why he shouldn't be starting, shouldn't carry on. Also, just quickly to add, Newcastle have one of the easiest fixtures runs this season. So another good player to pick between him and Smith Rowe. However, there is another man who you are completely obsessed with.
I think that there's these two, Murphy and this guy, are sleepers. Like, they're going to be people's teams and they're going to skyrocket. And his name is Minter. He's from Brighton. He is also in form, 3 goals, 2 assists in the preseason. Unfortunately, Murphy trumps him in having better fixtures for the start of the season, but Brighton play attacking football. He will be up there in assists and goals. He has very good preseason minutes. So I think that if you're looking at a differential pick, someone who's not on everyone's radar, but people are talking about, keep your eye for the eye test for the first couple of weeks on Minter. I won't be surprised if he's another player that I have my eye on to increase in price to probably around the 6 million mark fairly soon.
Mm.
I think I think he's very low price for what his output's actually going to be in goals and assists. But we'll have to check out what Brighton can do with those first couple of fixtures that are tough. But those are our budget picks.
Yeah.
Surely out of that, you can find a way to fit in Salah and Haaland if you want to. You don't have to. We actually prefer you don't, because I think I'd like to jump ahead of everybody in the standings. But I've been struggling with goalkeeper, and I still don't know if I got the answers. And Nate's telling me one day one thing, and the next day telling me another thing. And so we got for you today, which goalkeeper should you choose for game week 1? And we've got all the price points at a 4.5, a 5 mil, and a 5.5. I'll start us off, Nate. The goalkeeper that I had in my list that I took out yesterday and I put back in today because of what you said to me, and you're going to say a few seconds, is Henderson. Crystal Palace goalkeeper. He has great fixtures. He's coming in at 4.5, right? I don't think there's a 4.0 goalkeeper that we can choose at the moment who's starting. But at 4.5, good fixtures. He's got a decent defensive record. He started in preseason quite a few games, and the price per points potential is really good. So for me, I'm looking at Henderson as my 4.5 pick. If you got a better 4.5 pick for game week 1?
Mine is more of a combo in 2 players where I've currently got Sels as my main goalkeeper at 4.5. I really like his fixtures. The only downside is it is Nottingham Forest, but his first 3 fixtures, Bournemouth at home, Southampton away, but then Wolves at home, really good chance for Forest to try and build something for their Premier League season. And the reason why I got Turner is because he's the reserve goalkeeper for Forest, and he's 4 mil. So if Sels doesn't play, Turner will play. And that's kind of the idea behind doubling up on the same team's goalkeepers. Used to be quite a strategy back in the day, not so much now, but that's kind of the mentality behind it. However, I back your Henderson pick. And I think I might move towards Henderson because for those of you that don't know, Sam Johnston, the original Crystal Palace goalkeeper who did have the number 1 shirt, handed in a transfer request earlier this week. So, which means Henderson's pretty much guaranteed to start at a 4.5 mil price.
He's probably guaranteed to start before that, because if Johnston was handing in a transfer request, it means he got fed the information that he was not number 1. So he decided to
there we go. Yeah, true. There you go.
So he just gave us that direct information. Henderson is our number 1
He's the
pick.
one.
But yeah, South is a good pick. My only concern is Nottingham Forest are not a defensive juggernaut. And so I feel like Crystal Palace has a history of being better defensively than Nottingham Forest. But we'll see. Jumping to 5 million, I've got Martinez. This guy, he's won. He's a winner. Okay, he's not only won the World Cup, he's won Copa America. Okay, he's got decent fixtures. He's got brilliant stats from last season.
He's just a good goalkeeper. He really is.
He's a troll.
He's annoying.
Points per million last season is amazing. He had a good summer. He's coming in there on fire. And Aston Villa are going to have, I think Aston Villa are going to have a tricky season balancing players in rotation with Champions League. However, goalkeeper doesn't normally suffer from that. Either he's rested in some of the matches in the cup competitions, or he just plays everything. It's a position you can do that. And so Martinez at 5 million is probably a very good pick. Who would you pick as a 5 million pick if you had to pick a 5 million pick?
Now, I'm not Gareth Southgate, so don't tell me I'm
looks a bit like Gareth Southgate.
But my goalkeeper at 5 mil will be Jordan Pickford. Surprise, surprise. Why does everyone love Pickford? No idea. You know why he loves him? Because he's actually good. He's pretty decent. He was the highest scoring goalkeeper last season as well for Everton. Not just for Everton, sorry, for the whole of FPL. He plays for Everton. So that tells you enough. Everton's not really the best at keeping clean sheets, but Pickford's points came from his saves. His bonus points last season was incredible. I know the bonus points have got a bit nerfed, so it might be something to watch out for, but Pickford is just a good goalie. Coming from the Euros, semi-successful Euro campaign, going to the finals, didn't win it, unfortunate, but it is what it is. Had good form. He's doing well. I think he's just a staple pick in FPL. He's always been on our radar as far as goalkeepers go in that price category. So I'd be going for Pickford if I was looking in that budget range.
And in the dugout, he's got Sean Dyche, which and historically can set up that low block,
Defensively,
can
yeah.
set up that defensive unit, and Pickford could benefit from that. And if he doesn't, he will face a lot of shots.
Yeah.
And
And then
so,
he gets bonus points anyway.
yeah, so
Um,
yeah, that's where he'll get. And then we'll move on to the 5.5. This is your
ooh,
premium
this is
goalkeepers.
premium
Again,
territory. This is a bit too
I
rich for
just
my
want
blood.
I just want to say that both Nate and I are going for 4.5 goalkeepers, and we suggest that you do the same
I agree.
because our Haaland and Salah money taken everything. You can't.
Mhm.
You're really going for a Henderson. You're going for a South. You're going for a Sanchez if you're brave. Like you're going for these 4.5 picks. But
Areola,
if you
maybe. Yeah.
yeah, but if you are going for a Allison, a Edison, a Raya, a 5.5, who do you choose? Me, I put my money on Liverpool. Great opening fixtures, solid defense in front of him, but I can't afford that defense. If you can't afford, you're not going to be for Trent because he's 7. You can't afford Robertson and Van Dijk. 5.5 is zero point 0.5 less than
Into
those
that Liverpool defense.
starter
Yeah.
defenders. You're getting an into the clean sheet without wasting a space and a premium defender.
Mm.
So Allison for me is the best FPL goalkeeper premium choice. And if you just want to have a set, some people play where they just set the team up for the whole season and leave it, and you don't want to make lots of changes and you're just going to watch and sit back. It's not how you play FPL, but if that's what you want to do, go for it. Choose Allison then.
Yeah.
Like if you're not going to make changes and you only have 2 Liverpool players in your in 1 to 2 in your outfield, put Allison in the goalkeeper because he's going to play all season unless he gets injured, and he's going to be he's going to get a ton of clean sheets. And who knows, Allison's that goalkeeper that might even get an assist. Him and Edison, you never
The
know.
way he launches those long balls, he really could. He really could. For me, I agree with you, but for the sake of the video, I've got a second player at 5.5, and it's Raya from Arsenal. Now I know what you're thinking. You said Arsenal have bad fixtures. You should stay away from there. I agree. You still should. But what I'm going to say is if Arsenal want to win the league again, those 4 FDR, 5 FDR games, they should be winning. And how do you win them? With clean sheets. So my argument for Raya would be if you're going to go that premium and you're wanting to sink your teeth into some sort of 5.5 million category goalkeeper, Arsenal need to try and win the league this season. Otherwise, maybe Arteta faces repercussions. But really, FDR shouldn't matter for a team that's gunning for the first place position. So Raya is a solid pick for me in my mind. Arteta prefers him. Ramsdale basically not even existent in the dugout anymore. He had decent returns last season as well. I think he was maybe second or third among all the goalkeepers. So decent goalkeeper in itself, also taking a lot of saves. But Arsenal is that team that can keep the clean sheets. You know, you've got your Gabriels, your Salibas, your Ben Whites, and all that. So my pick would be Raya.
It's the same as Allison. You're going to go with the best defense in the league last season. That's Arsenal.
Hmm.
You can't afford Gabriel. You can't afford Saliba. You can't afford Ben White. So then you put Raya in to soak up those defensive points and those
100%.
clean sheets. And like I said, you're looking for a goalkeeper. You're looking for clean sheets. Clean sheets, and that's going to be Raya because he's going to be up there in the top 3 again this season for clean sheets. I'm certain of that. Um, they are making the game more geared towards attackers. And that means that we all should be playing 3 at the back. A 3 at the back formation not only unlocks the potential for greater bonus points moving forward in your midfield and attack, but there's so many good budget options in midfield that opening up those midfield options with a 3 at the back is vital. And there's so many good premium defenders that it's actually become easy to choose 3 premium defenders to start your game with
Hmm.
and go from there. And honestly, you're choosing your defenders on 2 basic ideas right now. Number 1, are they getting clean sheets? Number 2, do they have goal potential?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if you're going to go for 3 at the back, you look at those 2 options, looking at form and fixture and history, but are they going to get a clean sheet in this game week? And are they going to have a goal threat? And if your defender can hit one of those 2 targets, 3 at the back is the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And the thing is, I miss it, but gone are the days of clean sheets. The style of football has also just evolved to trying to outscore your opponent. Not many teams play low block. Those that do, they are recognized. You know, you've still got your Southampton goalkeepers from the old days, your Crystal Palace, your Evertons that used to get points in the defense. Now it's kind of which defender can score you points in assists and goals. So you're not really targeting those clean sheets anymore. And with that being said, if you're not targeting clean sheets, why go with 4 defenders? Why go with 5 defenders? There is some merit to it, but statistically on average, 3 at the back is the way to go, especially if you have 3 at front. You can only have 4 or 3 at the back. So you might as well just go with the 3, save some money, put some defenders on the bench, and free up the funds. With that being said, I want to ask you, there's obviously a lot going around with the defenders about who to pick. A lot of 4.5 million defenders that are very good. Is there anyone in mind that's standing out to you that you think you should have in your defense going forward into this game week?
As a budget pick or as a premium?
As a budget pick?
As a budget pick, I am looking heavily at Martinez. But with Luke Shaw, the information coming out is that he is slightly carrying an injury. He will not start the game week. Martinez gives me an in to Man United. He's taking that left back role during preseason, and he's coming in at 4.5.
Yeah.
So if I was looking at a player to come in at 4.5 who's on my radar right now, hot news, Luke Shaw's injured, and Martinez comes in at left back.
And you could, I would say to you as well, you could probably get away with 2 budget mid defenders and 1 premium defender. You could go like Martinez, Burn, and Trent. You could go Vardiel, Konsa. You know, there's a lot of mix and match. You could have one premium defender to pivot you some guaranteed points, and then maybe 2 cheaper ones. With the 2 cheaper ones being said, should we be focusing then our budget in the midfield?
100%. Midfield options. There are so many budget midfield options that are looking like they are ready after preseason. These 5 or 6 budget, plus you have your premiums of Salah and Saka and Palmer to choose from to fill out that midfield. And still then you've got Son and Fernandes to choose. There's so much in the midfield. You're gonna end up going with a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2, and you're gonna build that midfield and attack on 2 to 3 premiums and fill it up with budget players all around it. It just depends where you're putting your money.
Salah has shaved his head. Have you seen? He looks a bit deadly. He's ready
like a weapon.
Yeah. I think I personally am going to be going with 3-4-3 this weekend. The new news from Solanke that we spoke about in our last video, along with Isak and Haaland, I think is probably going to be my front 3. I think a lot of people will probably look at doing that as well. What do you think you'd be going to a 3-5-2 or 3-5-3?
I think because of Solanke, we all moving to a 3-4-3 because that third striker spot was always like is there a better midfielder than Munir as a budget? But now if we're going to have a 7.5 Solanke next to 8.5 Isak with a Haaland finishing up your attacking trio, it leaves you, honestly, it leaves you only space for like 2 premiums and 2 budget picks in your midfield anyways.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, there's an abundance of budget picks, so we might be able to get away with it. So it looks like 3-4-3 is the formation to go with. I think you can argue that 3-5-2 is better because midfielders can get clean sheet points, plus they can get goals. And if you can find those special midfielders who are playing further forward, like for example, there's someone out there who's going to choose Kuleveski and Fernandes, and both of those guys have the potential to play a false 9. And so you have a midfielder who's going to get a clean sheet point, who's going to get a normal creative returns, but he's also going to have goal threat because they're
playing
in
the
false
number 9 area. Yeah.
So and that actually puts up. This is not a I Love Man United podcast or video,
because we
but
don't.
but this has just put up Fernandes' appeal to me because Rashford is playing on left wing and Hollyant is injured and they haven't bought a striker. Whether they're buying Tony or someone, it hasn't happened yet. And that means Fernandes is starting the first game up front. So he's a real option in midfield who's technically going to be playing as striker. So if you are going to play 3-4-3, you can put a 4th striker in by having a midfielder that's a striker.
Well, there you go. And on that note, that pretty much wraps up the segment about the best team, the best formation. I think 3-4-3 or 3-5-2 is the way to go going into this game week. But
I think most good managers are 3-4-3.
Yeah. I think most of the template teams as well are 3-4-3. So unless you're Rodwan and have these crazy ideas, just stick to the template. But so, having said what we said and discussed what we've discussed, we've decided that this season we're going to make a joint FPL, Added Time FPL team. So we've created an account with our Gmail with the Added Time stuff. That's too much information. Let me start again. You see, I lost my mojo and I'm nervous. Okay. So, with all that in mind, we have decided that this season we're going to make a shared team. So, we made an account with the podcast channel name, and this is going to be a team that me and Mike both have input on. We'll update it weekly. We'll share it with you guys weekly. A nice little segment for you to come back to. You will have influence over this team, so let us know in the comments if there's anything you would change to the Added Time FPL mini team. But we're going to build a bit of a draft.
This is just so that I can win. So now I have Nate with me, so I don't have to lose every single year. At least I can win something. We'll win the FPL prize. What country do we register in again?
Oh yeah, we registered in Canada because
I'm in Canada.
Yeah, he's in Canada, so it's fair, but it gives us the best chance because there's the least amount of players in Canada
compared to the UK. So we're coming for you, Canada. We're coming for you. Okay. Well, let's just
start with some staples because me and you both have agreed on a few players. So we both like Haaland. We both want him in our team, so it only makes sense to put him in the main team. We both agree on Salah. We both want him in the main team, and I think we both agree on Henderson, and we need him in the main team as far as a goalkeeper choice goes. So that kind of rounds out most of what we have. So that's kind of the skeleton that we're doing with. So now.
And just to reiterate on all those three choices, the reasoning behind them is very straightforward. There's lots of information out there, but Haaland is playing Ipswich in game week 2. Salah's playing Ipswich in game week 1. Haaland's playing a weak Chelsea defense. Salah and Haaland are the top fantasy players over the last couple of years. And Henderson has just got for 4.5 really good stats. You can check out us talking about it a little earlier. Sorry. You can listen to us talk about goalkeepers, and we spoke about the fact that Henderson was the good choice for 4.5. That's why we've gotten that way. But now we're going to build a defense. Are we going to have at least one premium defender, Nate?
I would like to, and I know we both like this player. I would be tempted to throw in a differential, but my way up would be between Vardiel and Pedro Porro.
Well, there's a 0.5 difference. Let's go with Vardiel, and if we need the 0.5 later,
we'll go with Pedro.
We'll drop into Pedro.
I like it. I think we need to have some budget in there, so I think Barco is a good shot for a budget defensive option. And
so far, it looks like Barco's going to be starting at a 4 million. He's probably going to be in almost everybody's teams.
I agree.
And if he does start and score some goals in an attacking Brighton setup, looking at a 4.5 for the next couple of weeks, he'll be up there.
Another player that I've thought about as a bit of a budget is an old Chelsea boy that plays for Newcastle, and I just really like his style. And I think he might be starting quite a bit for Newcastle. It's Lewis Hall. We've not really spoken much about him, but I was just looking at the players and what we could put into the team, and I thought a different differential for 4.5 mil than your standard like Conses and Michalenko's and that. So, what do you think about that?
Everton is I'm staying clear of Everton's defense. They got way too many injuries at the back.
Yeah.
I normally would say Everton defensively at home, but with all those injuries, no. I'm not going to be taking chances on Michael.
Should we put Pedro Porro in anyway as a second premium? We go double back, or unnecessary at the moment?
Well, let's put in a midfielder first.
Yeah, let's build up midfield.
Midfielders are expensive.
Yeah.
Who is your next best midfielder you've got to have?
I know we spoke about it earlier, but I'm still so gutted about Bob's situation because he is just that good and he would have been perfect. But we got to move on.
Yeah.
So, you know what?
I'm going to...
Yeah, throw one.
I was gonna throw Murphy in. I was gonna say.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say to you. I think we go. We've been talking about this man a lot, and his preseason has been really good. So I think we throw him in. Another person I want to throw in. He's quite a premium player, and I know you like him, but not many teams have him. But that's Bruno Fernandes.
Oh, he's speaking my language. This team is cooking.
Maybe this is going to be my team. I like it.
He's playing the false 9. He's going to be the captain. He's on pens. He can make pens. He's one of the most creative players in FPL last season. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be having Bruno Fernandes.
Actually, kind of cracked. Now, I think we can fit one more premium midfielder in. What about you?
Well, it depends if we're going with Isak up front or not.
I think we do go with Isak, but we'll talk.
Everybody's going with Isak.
Well, let's
I think he's the most picked
because yeah.
He's the most picked player in FPL.
We have to have Isak in there.
He has everything. It's just right for everybody to blank game week 1 to 5. He has pens, he has attacking threat, he has
Home
pedigree.
fixture.
He sounds like he comes from England, but he's from Sweden. So
Now we might not have money for this, but I really want to have a knock with Saka.
I don't think we can afford him.
I know. It would be so
everything
nice.
we can try, but everything that I've done to get in Saka amongst that, not in this draft. There's no way.
Well, we've got 21
Maybe.
million left, and we've got 5 players to pick from. Let's jump back to goalkeepers. We could always pick the second Crystal Palace goalkeeper. I'm not sure of his name.
That's my strategy.
Yeah, I like that. We go for
Matthews, because Johnston, we've said, is on his way out.
So
that transfer request.
That kind of sorts out that.
If we're playing a back 3, then let's get another 4 million defender on the bench.
Yeah, well, we could look at what was his name? Mikyle was 4.5, so he wouldn't fit in. We've got Barker already. There's not many 4 million defenders that start. If you want to sort it by total selected, there we can actually just see.
This is the one I have. His name is Howard.
Oh, Bellis. Yeah. I have him in my. He was in my first draft. We could add him in as well because, like we say, we're playing with a bit of a cheaper backfield. 5.5, 13 mil left. Up front, we're going to need to throw in a budget forward because of that Haaland Salah premium.
So are we going to go with a midfield 5?
Yeah. I think that'll be the strategy. It'll be a 3-5-2.
So let's try and find at least a forward for now. We can downgrade him that he's actually going to be maybe starting.
Yeah.
Any ideas on anyone who you put some money on to actually start? Maybe score some goals?
It's a bit hurtful, but so I was thinking about Gohi from Chelsea, the new striker. He's only 5 mil, but I wouldn't back him yet. So it's got to be João Pedro for that price category.
The problem is Pedro's only played 45 minutes of preseason.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if we're going to bench a striker that with some money in him, what about Armstrong? Look at these fixtures.
Yeah, Southampton have a weird thing when it comes to forwards, and they could haul. So, put him in.
Let's put him in there as a placeholder for now. Let's see what we can get out of our midfield.
We have 7.5 left. Not bad. Not bad. We can adjust a little bit.
How's about this? We drop Saka to Odegaard.
Or Martinelli.
You think Martinelli starts?
Oh, I have an idea. What about Kulusevski?
I like it. Well, since we didn't go with Solanke, we're going to have to go with the Spurs player somewhere.
So let's go Kulusevski. That frees up some money, and we could probably put in an Arsenal defender or another Arsenal midfielder anyway. You know what? Vardiol, Hall, and put Pedro Porro in. I think we have Vardiol, Pedro Porro, and Hall starting for us. And then we throw in a Diallo. No, we've got Bruno Fernandes.
This ties in perfectly with our earlier conversation about budget midfielders because we have a whole list of them, and I know exactly which one I would suggest.
And I know what you're going to suggest. Is it Smith Rowe?
No, okay, Smith Rowe is a good option. I wasn't going to say Smith Rowe. Okay. We got options here. We got Smith Rowe option, but I also was going to say choose between Smith Rowe or this guy called Minter from Brighton. He's playing attacking football. Brighton play attack. Their fixtures are not good. If we're gonna go on fixtures for the first 3, I'm on your Smith Rowe train. Let's go with Smith Rowe.
Yeah.
But keep an eye on Minter, everybody.
Look at that. Let's enter it. Let's enter it and get a formation and see if we're liking it. The team name, everyone. You see, completely brand new squad.
What's our favorite club?
Spurs.
Don't you dare.
All right. We'll add it to the mini league later. Let's see what we've got. So happy with Henderson starting. Immediately putting Pedro Porro on for Barco. Putting Smith Rowe on for Howard Bellis. And that is pretty much that.
I would say, in my terms of building a team, we've actually overshot on Armstrong. If he's not going to start, I would be downgrading Armstrong to 4.5, freeing up an extra million, and we could use that million to do a lot of things. Yeah. You could upgrade Smith Rowe to an Nkunku.
You could take Fernandes to a Saka because it's at 0.5, 1.5.
You could even upgrade, if I'm correct, you can upgrade
To
Guardiol
Trent.
to Trent.
Yeah.
So that Armstrong money, I think we can still talk about, but that's my point. If we feel like just before we want to upgrade one of our players by 1 million in this team, we take out Armstrong and we push up one of our players by 1 million.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Hopefully that gives you guys some bit of insight to how we can build a draft, how you can build a draft. We're going to post a screenshot of this team tomorrow evening before the deadline day. So we have our final changes in. Mike, who we captaining?
And that brings us to our captaining section because all three captain choices are right here on the screen right now. Your choices are, in our opinion, how are you going to go against Haaland captain? He's playing against a Chelsea who've conceded goal upon goal. He scored, what did he score? 3 goals
Or
against
three,
him.
yeah, 3 goals, hat trick
He
against him.
scored a hat trick in preseason. That was 2 weeks ago. He had a full preseason. He had a full summer off. Haaland, let's go. But tell me why you think Salah's the better captain.
I don't. I think
Yeah, I
Isak
know.
is the better captain, though.
Okay, tell me about
so,
Isak.
so I think Salah should be your vice captain this week, even though it doesn't really matter that much. But Salah can be your vice captain. I think Isak, because of the hype, he's had a good preseason. He's fit. He's ready to go. He's playing at home. What a way to start your campaign with a hat trick against Southampton, newly promoted side. I'd back him as a captain.
And this is where I disagree with Nate because my captain for this week, and I can tell the world, is going to be Salah. Because I don't see the point in spending all your money and forcing Salah into your team and dropping all these premium players to not captain him against a newly promoted team from the Premiership, the Championship. Like, what was the point of making a team built around having Haaland and Salah if you're not going to captain him in
Good
the game?
argument.
Is meant for him to be captained in. So
Good
for me,
argument.
the obvious answer is to captain Salah. But you got 3 choices
So
out
you
there.
know now that this week we already see a point divide because both me and Mike are captaining different players. So Gameweek 1, it's starting right here. We'll see what happens.
I believe in Salah's Gameweek 1 stats over the last couple of years. I believe that he will score a minimum of he has scored a minimum of 7 points and he could score any amount of points up. So I believe Salah is the one to
Now,
look at.
to wrap things up on today's episode, does one player triple captain on Salah?
No, because he's away from home.
Okay. There's always that one psychotic player that plays triple captain and gets. He'll play it on Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno Fernandes will get a goal. Will get a hat trick and an assist.
You know what? Outside pick Bruno Fernandes for captain.
Not a bad shout.
Home, playing false 9. You could. I seriously think that Fernandes could be up there, the highest point scorer this week.
Mm-hmm. I agree. You know what?
Outside
I like that
captain.
team. I like that team. We save it. Put the captain on Salah. I back it. Let's do it. We vice Haaland. We see what happens, and there we go.
Well, thank you everybody for watching. Those who are watching, thank you everybody for listening. Those who are listening, this has been Added Time FPL coming at you from the UK, Canada, South Africa, all over the world.
We'll see you guys next week for Game Week 2. Hope you have a successful weekend. Please stay off the booze. Might be traumatic, we don't know, but just enjoy some football.
Find a couch to hide behind.
Yeah, and a blanket to cover your face with. But anyway, don't forget to join the mini league. The link is below. It's growing, so there's some nice challenge there. And yeah,
we got to beat Nate.
Yeah, you have to. Come on,
guys.
Help
me beat Nate. Come on, guys.
Bring the challenge.
I beg you. I beg for you. I beg.